Just kidding.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Shots fired, guys.
It is Monday
That's a good
today,
name for
just
a
so you guys
restaurant.
know, okay?
Fired.
I'll see myself out, okay? What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We're the Youngs.
We are the Youngs, but we
And
don't
it's-
just
everything-
have the
it
Youngs
looks weird today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's different.
And I'm on the end of the table, and I'm not sure I like it.
Well.
That's because we have 4 people on.
Yeah.
Not just
By the way,
3.
we're absolutely killing it with guests. I'm just saying.
Oh, we're going to have a lot more, too, after this.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah, because y'all get tired of just hearing us talk. We're not that interesting. But we do have interesting people here today. We have Courtney and Dylan Guffey.
Hi, guys. Hello.
Hello. How
Introduce
are you?
yourselves.
Who the heck are you?
Who the heck are ya?
I mean, you guys know who we are,
Yes.
but we are Dylan and Courtney,
Yes,
and
we are.
we are husband and wife photo and video team.
Yeah.
But we also own
Rotary Wishes. It's the audio guest book business. And then my wife has just now opened up a...
bridal business, and it's called House of Couture.
Ooh.
We're doing all the
Yes.
things weddings.
All the things, and then that's what we're kind of talking about today.
I know.
So-
We're talking about all of our businesses.
Basically, let's start with how you got into weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are all about diversifying, but let's talk about where you started.
Well,
Yeah.
first, I want to say that we're twinsies. We do the same stuff, except we do not own a bridal shop or Rotary Wishes type of business. But we're both husband and wife.
I know. Hey.
Photo video. We're besties. We love it.
Yes, we love the Young so much.
Aw.
Seriously, our best friends.
You're
we
so
just
sweet.
cannot.
We
do
paid them
this
to
life.
say that.
I mean,
They're getting paid.
it's
Check
underneath
might
the
not-
table.
Check might not clear.
So I started this business back in 2015, about the same time you did.
Yeah.
And I've always loved everything weddings, and I knew at a young age that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And as soon as I started doing photography, I really enjoyed the whole wedding side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really picked up my camera just for fun, started shooting, couples. I hate shooting because it sounds like you're shooting them legit.
We know what you mean. We know what you mean.
Photograph
Capturing.
couples, and then you did everything. You'd start with the babies, the families,
Yeah.
etc. And obviously, my favorite thing was weddings.
Yeah.
So then I started doing weddings, and then here we are, almost a decade later. As you can feel the same kind of a party.
Yeah.
We have to celebrate
Oh my
10
gosh.
years. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Wow,
and
I
then
feel old AF.
It's okay.
I'm just kidding. No,
That's 'cause you are.
That's fine.
Dylan, I'm gonna have to mute a lot of Dylan's mics. on
Why?
this. He's just calling
What
me
is-
out. He's firing.
He said, I'm old. I feel really old. I said, that's because you are.
Just
kidding.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
It's fired, guys.
it is Monday
That's a good
today,
name for
just
a
so you guys
restaurant.
know, okay?
Fired.
I'll see myself out, okay? Anyway,
You got
back to
this?
Courtney.
Yeah. Back to me. No pressure at all, but here we are almost a decade later. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, as you know, I'll just announce it, that we were going to try to open up a wedding venue.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, wedding venues we spent so much time, so much energy and money, and it just didn't work out. And our dream was to have a wedding venue and also bridal shop at the same time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it just didn't work out, but it was a lesson learned, and everything happens for a reason. And then we went to open up Rotary Wishes first, because
Rotary
a ton of our
Wishes.
clients were just asking about that.
Yeah, Rotary Wishes just kind of fell into our laps. I saw it kind of float around TikTok, and I said, you know what, I can do that with the background that I have.
Tell us about that. What's your background?
So I actually went to school for vehicles. So I majored in automotive maintenance and business technology. And so I took that automotive maintenance side of myself and then said, you know what, I can wire an old phone. R&D'd it and wanted to do something a little more techy, but made it like the first kind of style battery powered phone that was able to be mobile for all of our clients so they could take it places and enjoy it. But now I'm going to the next, version 2 of the phone. So that'll be coming out here shortly.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
So
Yes.
tell me what, you and I have talked about this a lot. Tell me what is different about what you decided to do with your phones versus because audio guest books are hot right now.
Yeah.
And we've had several weddings with different companies. how are your phones different than those phones? Because you and I have talked about that, and that's why you kind of wanted to do it differently.
Yeah, so there's a few that are actually the same as ours, and some that I definitely looked out towards, but I definitely kept it a little bit different. So I added a cord to mine, so it wasn't just something just sticking off the back of the phone. You could make it look a little more aesthetic. You could hide that more, and the recorder just isn't just poking out the back of it. I kept it very simple. So when you pick up our phone, there isn't a message. I don't require our clients to leave a message on the phone. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible because we've seen those phones that do have those things, and it just blocks up a lot of the reception. So I want to try to keep people moving in. So the venue really likes our phones because, one, there's no cords, there's nothing to tape down, you don't have to plug anything in. And the reason why I chose to do a simple recorder is because it's very easy to use. It's a simple, switch it on and then hit record. Then everything is saved after that point.
Yeah.
It's very shock proof, so it won't fall apart because everything's hooked together professionally. It's all screwed together.
Yeah, I like yours a lot because it's really easy to use. I mean, I know just from being in the industry and seeing other phones, they get shipped to people and then they come with this big instruction pamphlet of how to set it up, how to plug it in, how to turn it on and all that stuff. And yours is just you hit a button and it's going.
Yes.
And you don't have like you said, the message. Normally you pick it up, it gives you a little message and it beeps and you talk. Yours, you literally pick it up and start talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No confusion.
There's no waiting. There's no what do we do with this? And that's where I wanted to keep it simple. And we've heard venues say that it just takes too long. It creates that long line. And during winter time, and especially during summer, I mean, summer here gets extremely humid and hot.
Yeah.
Having those people stand outside just to wait for the phone was just, we've seen it happen. It's just too ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I wanted to figure out a system that we could make it fine tune it, make it faster. So then the venues could still put it up front so people know that it's there and it's not just tucked in the back corner somewhere hidden. And you could still get all of those messages from your guests. The heartfelt ones come in the beginning. The ending is when, everyone's kind of feeling themselves a little bit and you start getting the funny ones and the little slurred out ones. So,
And you can always tell from a wedding standpoint, I think you've done it too, like to use the messages in a film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes it more
And
personal.
While I'm going through kind of fishing out the ones I want to use, you can always see the progression of the alcohol.
Oh, it's the best.
So
and it's so fun.
It's
Yeah,
so
I
fun.
call it the wedding roller coaster.
I think that this idea is just one of the best things for weddings and just such a cool way to make them personal too.
Yeah, and it's something that Alex and I can speak kind of for him. It's something that we use every day. We use those recorders on a daily basis, so it's something it's nice for us
for video.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
For videography side of things, we use those recorders on a daily basis. So the fact that I can just simply use the same recorder that I'm using that I mic up my groom with, that I mic up my bride with, it's very nice because then it all just kind of transpires into the audio on the back end.
Yeah.
So just like Alex said, I'll have really heartfelt messages from grandparents, parents that the bride and groom will have forever in the beginning, but then also mom and dad might leave something really funny that I can open up a party scene with.
Yeah.
So it just doubles to make our wedding video editing a little easier, but then it also just gives something so timeless back to the bride and the groom.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I would I want to backtrack a little bit and I would love for you guys to talk about how you guys got into adding on video and how Dylan got incorporated into the business. Yeah.
You started
Tell
as
that
a
story.
photographer, you
Yeah,
said, by yourself. So
Yes.
when did he come into play?
Yeah.
So Dylan and I, to backtrack a little bit, Dylan and I have known each other since we were 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we dated when we were 16, and we'll just be nice today.
Oh no, you can be mean. That's fine.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, be honest.
You guys got married in what year?
We got married in 2019.
Yeah.
2019.
And had May in 2019.
Yeah.
But
Yes, 19 was a big
Was
year.
Dylan
Yeah, it was a big
crazy?
year.
Was Dylan crazy?
he was
Dylan
a
was crazy.
wild boy.
He was a wild boy.
He was a
In
wild boy.
high school?
Yes.
Yeah, we've heard the stories.
Yes, of course.
I came from cars, so
Yeah.
the term full throttle is definitely
Yeah.
the statement for me.
As a wedding photographer, you never want to talk about it. But unfortunately, I was married young. Lesson learned. And, we're still friends to this day, thank goodness. But we got divorced. And then literally shortly after we got together. And one day Dylan came to me and he was like, hey, instead of me just sitting at home or hanging out with my friends, how about I assist you on a wedding day? And I was like, heck yeah. I was like, free
currently
work.
I was currently living in an automotive shop at that
And you
point
mean
in time.
when you're shooting weddings, because you were
Yes.
working full time already
Yes.
at that point. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously, as you know, weekends were our busy times.
Yeah.
So he came with me to a wedding, and he was like, "I really like this. This is
So
fun."
you
started-
second shot photo for her?
Yeah, so it started off as okay, I work during the week. She works on the weekends. We could only see each other for a little bit of time because I had.
And you guys
I had
were
to be at
just
work.
dating at that time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to be at work at 6:30 in the morning to open up the shop that I was working at.
Yeah.
So it was very early. So, going out with her until, 10, 11, possibly 1 o'clock on those nights and then getting up, 4 hours later and going to work, it was a hard life to manage. So
Yeah.
I looked at her one day and I was like, well, can I go to a wedding with with you, and like, will they feed me? And at that point in time, I just want food.
The most important question.
I'm hanging out with like the girl I'm falling in love with, and I'm also getting fed, and then I get to see her doing what she truly loves. And so it was like a double kind of thing for me.
Win-win.
I got to do, I got to win-win. Got to get fed, 2 days out of the weekend. I didn't have to really do my thing, and all I had to do was just, show up for her and be like on my best. So it was fun to see that. And I just picked up a photo camera, and she slowly showed me how to do it. And it started off, as basic as it gets.
Yeah.
She started me off as, okay, this is what you shoot on. This is how you do this. I would ask her tons and tons of questions, but it was really like the third wedding, it clicked.
Yeah.
And do you have any previous like photo knowledge?
Aside from like the tech side of things.
So I have like
photography.
GoPro
Cars.
knowledge, like we'll put it in that
Yeah.
like standpoint. So I made a few GoPro videos. Like if you go and like type in Dylan Guffey on YouTube, you'll see some of my GoPro footage.
Yeah.
And that's just me drifting in my car. But
Not
it was
everybody's
But
literally
when
like,
it comes to like getting a camera in your hand, putting the settings
No.
on, knowing
Like the
why,
creative
like,
side of it.
like
yeah.
I've never even touched like an actual camera
Yeah.
before. I did take some photos. My sister has an old black and white photo camera that I took some, but it was like, I just like taught myself how to focus, manual focus. And like, I went out during an ice
I used to
storm.
manual focus everything. Isn't that
gosh.
For
wild?
That's
photo.
insane.
You know why?
For photo. Isn't that wild?
You know why?
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 Because I
'Cause
told
you taught
to.
me.
I told you to, and I was teaching her how to use the camera from a video standpoint,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I always used manual focus, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, you're gonna get better results with manual, and then I realized,
Dude, I
photography,
manual-
it's a lot easier to use
I
auto.
manual focus
Right.
though. I manual focus for probably the first 3 years of my career.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
My first whole year I did, yeah.
Like
gosh,
only
that's
manual
insane.
focus. Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? You are a very quick learner. Like I know that about you just because we know you guys really well.
Yeah.
But like you're a very quick learner. I mean, you just
Yeah.
said by the third wedding, like you were like, oh, like I get this. Like
yeah. I mean, she gave me the
that's so
basis of it of like,
impressive.
okay, shoot on ISO 100. We're not going to use auto white balance. This is what Calvin is. So that was the ISO was definitely the hardest. She definitely got onto me quite a bit.
Don't
because,
do auto ISO, please. Never.
it took me a little bit to understand that like going up to like 1600 is okay in this industry. Like, I was so nervous to go up that high because I
well,
knew
now
about
with
grain.
new cameras, I mean,
You
And
can
it
literally
depends
go
on
to
the camera, too.
10,000.
Yeah,
I'm
she
shooting
started me
photos
off
at
on a
3200.
Yeah.
She started me off on a Mark IV, I think is what
It was a Mark III.
Oh, Mark III
Yeah,
it
Mark
was.
III.
Yeah, because then we
5D
moved to
Mark
Mark IV.
We still have two
So
of those.
yeah, I mean,
Really?
it was.
We don't use them.
Oh
but
my-
we
well,
have them.
yeah.
It was definitely a camera that was way beyond what I probably should have picked up
Yeah.
that fast, but I did.
That's awesome.
But I think it was just because I knew where I wanted to go in the business with her, and we both kind of just enjoyed being with each other. So it made it easy. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be a job. This is going to have to be what I know.
So how did like video come into play?
So prior to that, I always wanted to hire a videographer. So I had a few meetings with a few people.
Yeah.
And whenever we got together and he, obviously assisted and then started second shooting, he was like, oh, I would love to learn a video. And literally
Yeah.
the following week, we went out and spent close to 5,000
Oh, yeah. It
at
was $5,000.
Schiller's. Well, no, it wasn't Schiller's. It was Creve Coeur Camera.
Before they
Yeah.
closed.
Before
Yeah,
camera
before
and
they
a little
closed.
bit
Yeah.
of B&H because they didn't have everything.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did.
So you spent more money than you should have at Creep Programmer.
Yes.
Amen.
They were expensive.
Very, very expensive. And then he just started doing,
did.
portfolio stuff. And basically, the rest is history.
At first I started and it was like, it's a wedding because I was so clueless to weddings. I was a
Yeah.
car guy. I don't think at that point I might have been to 2 weddings in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So when I first started doing weddings with her, I had the zero responsibility of like, oh, I'm just a second shooter. Let's do this thing. I got this, be told by my boss and what to do, what to get, and I'm good.
Yeah.
When I first started shooting and that first wedding, the responsibility that you have of like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
moment will never happen again.
Yep.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you mess that up, it is not okay.
Yeah.
So, everyone makes mistakes, but your mind is racing at such a speed that
Yep.
you didn't think it could, obviously function at. But as soon as they walk down and you're like, everything's good and your camera's running, your batteries are all good, your card space isn't full, everything just kind of clicks into space and it just becomes like almost second nature. Like
Oh,
you're
yeah,
moving
absolutely.
with them.
Yeah.
You actually forget about like time awareness. So what me and Courtney talk about a lot in weddings is like you forget about like time.
It's like tunnel
during the
vision.
ceremony.
Like
Yes.
you're so
Amen.
focused
Yeah.
on like what's happening in that moment that everything else is like non-existent. At the same time, you're overly aware of everything.
Yes.
So it's like
Everything.
really
Yes.
weird.
It's
Yes.
such a
Yeah.
different
Yes.
confliction in your
Yes,
body
yes.
because your mind is thinking, okay, I have this many photos on the card. And then when they start walking down, you completely forget about that. And you're just clicking and making sure that you're getting every single moment, especially like when the, father hands off the daughter or, the first look, you're in such a moment with them. You like connect with a couple, and that's that's what made me fall in love with it. And I think she can really contest that. That was like after we did our first wedding together, I was like, that was really cool.
So I have a question to add to that. And it kind of like goes into the next topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about briefly. Shooting weddings together. I mean, at least for us, we are a couple serving couples. And it's the same for you guys. So like, did that impact your guys' like marriage and relationship? Because we get all the time, and I'm sure you guys do too. How do you work with your spouse every day? Like, you got to be getting on each other's nerves and like that type of thing. And because we're weird, we're like, no, we love it. Like, I can't get enough of each other.
We're gross.
We're gross. I mean, how did that, being in a newly fresh like relationship kind of, how like, what did that look like for you guys?
Honestly, if anything, it set us up to like grow together
as a couple.
And
for sure.
We learned so much about each other. And I feel like today I tell my brides and couples and moms, because it's usually the moms, like, how are you guys not getting on each other's last nerves? But I feel like Dylan, if he was not with me, I would have so much anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would do photography if something happened to Dylan or... And I'm sure you probably can attest to the same thing, that we are now a team. It's no longer CMS as Courtney.
Yeah.
And we do, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and act like an angel. We do get on each other's nerves, but it's not like an all-out yell. It's a business partner. It's
like a brother and sister fight.
You have to know that line.
Hey, we're married, but we understand that like we have to talk to each other like business partners, but we can't cross the line. I'd say the only conflict that we had in the entire like wedding process of becoming business partners,
what are you about to say?
Is Courtney wanted to set up our office where our desks were facing each other.
Oh.
And I said, absolutely not. Love you in every aspect of life, business, and also marriage, but I was not going to do that.
Yeah.
So yes, we do actually
Alex
work
is
back
like,
to
how?
back.
Yeah,
we have two separate offices and two separate levels on two separate ends of the house. So
I tried that.
We literally couldn't be further apart during the day in our house.
It's so interesting how like, we both do the same things and things like that, but like it works differently for each couple.
Right.
And, for us, when we started doing this, and I'm sure I've told this like little story a billion times, but for us, when we started, we were like, okay, we can be like screaming our heads off at each other on the way to the wedding. The moment our doors open up on that property,
it's game
we
time.
are respectful to each other. We are kind, and we are business partners. Like, of course, like when people see us like interacting, they're like, either they like each other a lot, they got a crush, or they're married. So it's like, I like will pick hair off of him, off of his shirts and things like that. And I'm like, fix your hair. And I'm like touching him. And it's either people are like, okay, they are flirting, or like they actually are married.
That's so funny.
And actually that specific thing has happened several times where somebody will pull me aside and say, are you guys married? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, I saw you guys during the ceremony. She was just like picking hair off the back of your
Oh yeah. I love those questions on a wedding
I like
day.
joke with people. I'm like, no, he's my brother.
Oh yeah. We have lots of fun.
I think, if conflicts do arise between the two of us sometimes on a wedding day and we're talking to each other, but just like you said, Dylan, it's more of a respect of like my partner and my business partner and a colleague. And then if we need to talk about it later after the wedding, we will, but more often than not, it's like forgotten at that point.
It was such a stupid argument that what were we even talking about?
We argue with our eyes a lot. You know, if you're listening to this podcast and you need an example, go to our YouTube channel. It looks like this.
Yep.
That's the classic Breeway look.
It's the blink, blink. What are you doing?
But it's also,
or shut your mouth.
It's also very similar to, hey, I need your attention. Look at me. So it's hard to.
It is.
Yes.
So if you're not one of us and know which is which, you might not know.
And to add on to that, that's where like, even as business partners are, and I'm sure you guys can contest this as well, is like your marriage grows.
Yes.
Because like when I'm her second photographer, I almost can say like how she's thinking. And so like I can do certain things for her that like I'm 10 steps ahead because she's focused on getting everything that the bride and groom talked about on their phone call.
Yeah.
As her second, I can now move fluid with her and just already know what her schedule is.
Yeah.
And that's not like saying like I memorize the schedule, but it's like, okay, I know exactly what picture she wants to do next, so I can set the dress up that certain way.
Well, we have a flow, don't we, Court?
We always have a flow.
We have a flow.
There's a unique flow to
There's a
weddings.
pattern for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So then let's talk about So Rotary Wishes came first after, obviously, you guys are doing photo and
Right.
video.
Now, did that happen? I don't remember. You guys were actively diving into the venue thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when did Rotary Wishes even become an idea? How did it become an idea?
Yeah.
And you pulled the trigger.
And then
what
you
that
pulled the
looked
trigger
like.
pretty much immediately, it seemed like. 'Cause
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
came
so
out of nowhere.
it took me like 6 weeks to R&D because I really dove down and I wanted to do a lot of stuff where it had the message. There was a computer board inside the phone. There was going to be no recorder. It was all going to be inside the phone. I wanted to have buttons on outside the phone that actually, like, you know, you set the phone up. And I just realized that is like an unattainable thing right now for me because of where we're at in our life and all the businesses and the, you know, the little one that we have. I wanted to do something more simple. And then the simple, I ran with the more simple idea because I was like, this makes a lot of sense for our couples. They're already stressed out on their wedding day. Their parents are also stressed out because everything's got to go perfect. And when we set the
Yeah.
phone up, it's usually before ceremony. So we don't want to like stress more people out.
Yeah.
And so that was where I came up with the idea. Alex, I actually texted you quite a few times on like, hey, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And, you know, I did get some help from you being friends in the industry. You definitely helped me out with, you know, simplifying my idea and not giving me the idea, but also understanding that I sat down and said, okay, this is already done. I have to now create something where the audio would have to go through multiple computer boards and stuff like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do that. That causes more failures.
Yeah.
And so when I came up with a simplified idea, it took me about 6 weeks to get all that through. That business like plan essentially, but it only took me about 2 weeks to fully get the first phone ready.
Yeah. So you would say it's like pretty, like get up and go, pretty easy.
And now how many phones do you have?
Oh gosh, we
I
have
want
like
to say like just
20?
about 22. I
Yeah.
think is the exact
22.
number. 22.
That's awesome.
And I've only
Yeah.
ran into one phone that was like absolutely impossible to do, but it was also from 1921. So I just chose to actually, that's one of May's Place phones now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys, we talked a little bit about you guys were on the path to try to do a wedding venue, and then you guys pivoted to do a bridal boutique.
Yes.
So what did that look like? How did that
Yeah.
even come into fruition?
I know. I feel like it
Tell
was
us
a
about
huge
that.
surprise to everybody. They're
And
like,
this was
"What?"
all
Yeah.
these things were like last year, like announced last year.
I
Yes.
remember when
Yeah.
you texted me, you're like, we're done with the wedding venue search.
Yeah, we were.
We're
so
going to do
over
a
it.
bridal boutique. And at first I was like,
Why are
you
that came
jumping?
out of left
Right.
field. But then at the same time, I was like, it's Courtney. Like, that
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
me.
Also, a lot of people didn't know that our venue was also going to house our bridal boutique.
Yeah, so we were gonna
kept
have,
that
like,
one really secretive.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily secretive. It was just going to be a big enough space, and
To have
some of the
both.
spaces we
Yeah.
were looking at were going to be both.
We were gonna have like the venue and then like off-site. Well, not off-site because it's on-site, but like
And
another.
a separate part of the
Yeah.
space.
Yes.
And there's gonna be like another like bridal boutique.
And
That,
it was going to kind of double to where they could look at dresses, but then also look at their wedding venue. But it was also going to be a big double of, it was going to be a nice clean space. So being photographers and videographers, I came up with that idea saying, how many times have we called other spaces when it rains and saying, hey, can we use your space?
Right.
So we were going
That
to
happens
create,
here at the studio all the time.
right. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
were going to create that space for people to be able to take photos at our venue in case it was raining outside.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the aesthetic, but they could
Right.
get a nice, clean, beautiful look
Yeah.
inside.
Right.
Yeah.
So when was that click when you said, you know what, we're just hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock with all these venues, because we've talked and we don't need to
Right.
dive into it, but
Right.
it's almost like the universe was saying, focus on this one side because
Yeah.
this is where you need to be going.
I think it came down to money.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean,
that-
basically, you have to have either $500,000 upfront in cash
Yeah.
or an investor, and it's just we weren't ready to go the investment
We
route.
had dropped
You know,
when we actually stopped and just like looked at each other and said, this is enough. We had spent about 25 grand out of our own pockets
Yeah.
on
It was
planning,
disgusting.
talking
Permits.
to people,
permits,
all the
city,
stuff.
our lawyer. We had like 5 different like business proposals to bring to these like owners of these buildings, and just it came down to city permits and just money. And it's just, and with all these wedding venues, granted they're all
Yeah.
beautiful, they either have the money and the funds or they have investors, and we just were not ready at quote unquote such a young age to go down that route.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just didn't have also the business capital to go to the bank and say, I need this loan.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And they saw us spending more money than we were making with this
Yes.
idea. And when you have an idea, you got to spend money to make money. But if you're not making any money with this idea and multiple options, when you go to the bank, they're kind of like, okay, well, what are you guys doing wrong? And it was just after that, that time of being told no and no and no, and then looking at that account and going, okay, we've done this much damage in our business account
Yeah.
Right.
You had
in
to
1
call
year.
Call it quits
Yes.
sometime. Yeah.
And I
You got to
just
pivot at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it just came down to that. And we let, some time marinate because we're
Yeah.
like, we need to just kind of breathe.
Now, did you have the bridal boutique already on your mind at this
Oh
point?
yeah. I am a person that likes to be very busy. And when I started thinking and brainstorming, and I take a lot of your advice because you're my best friend, but I was scared to tell you guys at first because I was like, they're going to think we're crazy. They're going to think we're nuts, and they're going to like,
Spoiler, we already thought you were crazy.
We already knew you were crazy. We're all crazy.
So whenever we were, put the venue, we're like, done, it's not going to happen. And people ask us, are you going to do it in the future? No, we're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're
not doing
done.
it.
We're not going to do it. But I always loved dresses.
Yeah.
Dresses. I went to the Academy Awards when I was younger, and I just have seen wedding dresses, be in the wedding industry for almost 10 years. And at this age, like I know we're still young, but we have to look at our future.
Yeah.
We're not going to want to be wedding photographers probably when we're 67 years old. Let's be honest.
Yep.
So what was my next step of action? And I'm a type of person just like Alex my mind is always thinking of creative things. And new ideas, and it doesn't shut off.
The
I don't know.
mind for Courtney is the devil's playground. Let me tell you.
Exactly. And Dylan says that to me all the time. So whenever I decided, you know what, let's just go in, let's have a minimum number, and let's start with the bridal boutique. Let's get a small space.
And when we opened up the bridal shop, we wanted to look for a smaller space to make it more intimate, things along those lines. And I told Courtney, I said, well, if we're going to do a smaller space, then I'll build everything.
Yeah.
So I told Courtney, well, for my part of the business, I will build things. I will do things for you. I'll, hang the wallpaper. I'll do whatever you need
He's
me to do.
done everything. And so it looks so good.
I told her my vision. I said, I want to create this like how you explained it to me, when you first got into the retail. You wanted to create like a closet for someone. So when you walk into this space, it's very comfortable. It's not, it is overwhelming because you're shopping for dresses, but I want it to feel like when you swing the double doors open, it's like walking into your dream closet.
Yeah.
So I sat there, pretty much sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor and going, okay, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And I went through probably 200 revisions in my head on, okay, we're going to put the dressing room here. We're going to put the desk here. We're going to do this. And then I would have to turn around and run it by Courtney. Do you like this layout? No, I don't like that layout.
He was my contractor.
I mean, you told us several of these general ideas.
Yeah,
I mean, where you ended up landing was
way
not,
out of left field.
Was not where you started.
Right.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
when we came together with that to kind of cut into that business is we were able to save money, which we couldn't do with the venue.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So that's where, again, I took that business and learned on, okay, I made these mistakes with another business opportunity that we tried and said, I don't want to make those mistakes again. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do it myself because I know I can.
Yeah.
But like you said, with having everything else, it was extremely hard.
Yes.
And I would say, I mean, you guys got things going really like very quickly.
Yeah.
And I really admire that about you guys because for me, I can be kind of lazy with things, and I'm like, I'll get to it. And you guys were just like full throttle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the
Yeah.
cool thing about House of Couture, the way it worked, and we're very blessed that it has taken and done well that it has, was there was many 2:00 nights. I would text her.
yeah.
I was working up there, sanding things, dusting things, making sure
Piper.
all of that stuff that I built
not
by
Piper.
hand.
Copper.
There was many
Piper.
nights where Courtney had to, take care of May and do all of those things and be mom, and I was up there being a contractor, and I was like, okay, well, to sacrifice this time because I still had 15 wedding videos
I was
on
gonna
my
say, you
quew.
had edits probably.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had 15
You're
wedding
still a
videos.
wedding videographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we
Yeah.
started this business, I had 21 wedding videos that was going, and I had 15 on my queue
Yeah.
when we actually started building stuff.
Wow.
So I had to
Yeah.
learn how to manage time, and it was being up there, and,
It was
saying
exhausting.
goodnight to my daughter, driving up to the shop, going, okay, I can get this amount of work done by 2:00. I know that I can function okay on about 4 to 6 hours of sleep, but it's not sustainable. So I was like,
Right.
okay, how many weeks can I do that? That's how fast I
That's
have
why
to get
you
this
had. That's
done.
why it was done quickly.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that
I
makes
went up
sense.
there during the day. If I said, okay, I can get this edit done in this amount of time, I have this highlight due, things along those lines. I knew that I could at least go at the end of the night. House of Couture was where I put all of that work into. And that's where to open up those businesses while we were so busy, that's why I was kind of crabby. I was kind of on edge because I was working extremely hard to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But if you want to do those things, that's the
You have to.
Yes.
that's the time you have to
You
sacrifice.
have to go through those seasons of constant work, but also you did it the right way in your time management because we just talked about burnout
Yes.
in a previous episode. And when you don't do those things is when you immediately dive into
Oh,
Correct.
absolutely.
Yeah.
burnout.
And it was wild because there was a point in time, and Alex can contest to this. I mean, I was burnt out to the point where I snapped at one of my best friends. I did. I'm not scared to say that I didn't. I am not a perfect person. I mean, I came at Alex pretty hard one day, and the moment I sent that, I was like, I'm done. I
almost killed him, by the way.
I have to stop.
I knew it because I got that
knew.
text. And I told Veronica, I said, Dylan needs to relax and take a step back because he is not himself, and I understand that. He's working too hard.
So you guys definitely split the duties. Did you got help with the logo? I assume the website design.
And I assume you were sourcing all the product.
Oh yeah.
While he's doing all this because you want to
she
open
would show
with
me here and
product
there.
in store.
I was doing all the product, which honestly, there is a lot of time and energy that goes into picking out dresses and talking to the sales reps and talking to like, which one, dresses are selling, which dresses aren't. Because I would like a dress and they're like, that might not sell.
What
So
region
then we
they're
had to go
selling
back
in,
to
it
the
was-
drawing board and everything. And it was just a lot. So
Yeah.
then, just getting our brand, because like obviously you guys preach this as well. Getting our brand was so important for House of Couture. What did we want to do different? What made
did you want the
sense for our brand?
experience to look like? Because brand is an experience, regardless of regardless
However
of
you
what
look at it.
regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what you're selling, if it's a service or a product,
Yes.
there's an experience involved.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I know the answer to this question, but I would love for you to say what sets you apart.
One thing about us is a little bit different is we are very small and intimate. So we don't have, unfortunately, like there's some people that want to go into a bridal boutique and they want to see hundreds of dresses. Right now in-house, we have about 50 wedding gowns, and we are getting more hopefully, in a couple of weeks, because I'm waiting on our plus size gowns, and then we will be getting more coming up into the fall season. So one thing is when you make an appointment, we're appointment only. So we no longer allow walk-ins, appointment only. So that way you can get the full experience.
Yep.
So you get 90 minutes and you get the entire store to yourself, your friends, and your family, up to 9 guests.
I think that is so cool.
Yes.
I mean,
But
that's
you
such an
don't-
intimate
You're not
experience.
completely closed off to walk-ins either, because you still do like trunk shows and like
Correct.
open house type
Right.
things
Yes.
that you can't try on dresses, but people can get in the door and
but
look
that's like
kinda
a
around.
see.
set time.
Yeah.
It's not like
Those
you're
are
trying on a
pre-planned.
wedding dress and some
Right.
random person's going to come in and also look at that dress and be like, well, I
Right.
like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And we both really talked about that we wanted people to have not necessarily a safe space to explain it,
Right.
but a secure space of this is their wedding dress.
Yeah.
I want them to feel like that is their wedding dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was shopping for my wedding dress and I went into like boutiques and I was trying on dresses, but I would see in the mirror of other brides trying on
Yes.
dresses, and I'm like, wait, and I'm not fully focused on me and
Right.
what I'm doing. I'm
Right.
like looking at them and I'm like, that either looks great on them, or maybe I like that one and I want to try that one next, or things like that. And I think that with what you guys are doing, it lets the bride fully immerse themselves
Yes.
in the experience.
It's a new experience. I
It
think
makes
it's-
an experience.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
slowly
And that's
catching
what-
on, because I mean we've definitely had some like moms that come in and they still want that old traditional style where there's thousands of dresses around you and you think that you can try all those on, but it's
They
somebody
didn't.
actually picking 5 dresses and saying this is what you get. You told us what you like.
Yeah.
We've had dresses, people come in to look at dresses, they found it within 3. We've also had people try on almost
Every
15
single one.
dresses,
Yeah.
almost
Yes.
15 dresses, and have said to us, thank you so much for the opportunity. We have another appointment, but then that person came back because they loved our
Yeah.
experience.
And so do you guys mark, like when you have appointments and clients, do you guys mark down the ones that they're potentially coming back, they loved A, B, C, and D?
So one thing the brides get sent an interview and it asks you like your budget, where you're getting married at,
Yeah.
what are you looking for, what kind of dress. I'm sure you kind of maybe remember this from when you got. So we kind of already know. So when they walk in the doors, we allow them to kind of look at the dresses.
Almost browse.
Touch the dresses. Look, as long as they don't have Cheeto hands, but we just kind of walk with them and just kind of get a feel for what they're liking.
Yeah.
And then
Bring the
we just
comfort
kind
level
of
to to 0. We don't want you to be at that like high uncomfortable
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
We bring you back down to say, hey, you can actually touch these. It's okay.
Yeah.
These are not diamond pieces. This is an experience for you.
Yeah, because I don't want to be the one to like pick an A line when the bride wants like a mermaid. But I do also want to see, maybe we should get her in an A line because she's never tried on an A line.
That is
to
like
see what
the
she
biggest
likes.
thing that I always tell my
I don't know
brides.
what
I'm
these
like,
words
try.
mean.
That's sorry.
Unfortunately, Alex, I know a lot about
I own a
this.
V-neck and a crew neck.
I can put on dresses now that I know, and I look at it and
my
go,
gosh.
oh boy.
But that is one thing that I always tell my brides. I'm like, try on everything. Like, even
Yes.
if you don't think that you're going to like something, give it a go, because
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not going to do any harm.
No.
You'll be like, okay, yep, I was right. I don't like that. Or
V.
you'll potentially fall in love with something you had no idea.
That major stems back to what you just said when you were trying on your wedding dress is, you see those other people trying those dresses on and you get to wondering of, okay, well, it looks good on her.
Yeah.
She might have close to the same body type. Maybe I try that on.
Yeah.
But then that bridal shop says, I'm sorry, she's trying it on. You know, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where we, you know, Courtney does sell that experience is you can try whatever you want on. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you do or don't like. If you want to try something on that you physically, you are way out. I don't want that. And you're just, all of a sudden now you've tried on 2 dresses that you do like,
Yeah.
and you're like, let's give it a whirl.
Well,
Yeah.
and the whole shop, I mean, is completely just focused on you and like attending to you and getting your like help and things like that. And I just think that that's so cool.
Well, and then the
Thank
intimate
you.
experience, you brought this up about, you know, they can try on everything if they want to. It's sort of like most of the time they'll go in and pick that there's one dress that they like.
Yes.
That they think they like.
Yeah, a dress
Right.
style.
And
yes.
they'll try that on, and I'm sure it happens. I've never been there, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that they'll put it on and be like, "Oh, I like this."
Yeah.
But they don't say I love this, but they still want to. They
Right.
still think they want it.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
same way with Veronica's engagement ring. I don't know if I ever told the story on the podcast.
Probably not.
So when we were talking about, you know, we're going to get married, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
she would always send me these hints. And I'm sure every female that's ever been married
Yes.
or wants to get
They
married does
all
it.
do it.
She'll send me rings that she likes. And then eventually
shame, though.
you'll
No
get
shame.
the one that she's like, this is my favorite. This is the one I want. So naturally, when it's time to go get a ring, that's the one that I go toward. And that's the one I literally sat there. I picked out the diamond. I had it made. We paid for it.
Yeah, shame plug men. We actually do like when women tell us what they like because it makes our decisions much easier.
But
Yeah.
but there's a big but.
So
to
you
this.
had already bought the one that I was like, this is the one I
we
want.
basically bought this. We put the deposit down on the ring,
Oh, I know where this is going.
and we got there, and my mom went with me to pick it up, and we're looking at it just all together because Shane Co, for example, you don't
That's where I got
see it
Courtney's.
together.
Yes, yeah.
They just you can see the diamond with it just to kind of get the idea. I'm like, this does not feel like Veronica. I know this is her favorite one. This is the one she wanted, but this does not feel like a Veronica ring. And my mom's like, I completely agree. So then we spent another 2 hours in that store after we'd already spent all this time and made a ring and got a ring made and picked something more simple out with a way nicer diamond, I must say. Way nicer because it was a more simple ring. It was cheaper.
Yeah.
But the diamond was able to be
Upsized.
far nicer.
Yeah.
And that's the one she has, and that's the one she loves.
Yes.
And she actually has said several times she likes this better
Yeah.
than what
Yeah.
she had originally told me.
Yeah. That was definitely a bold choice, but again, like you just knew better
It's
than I did.
it's the idea of just because you think you like something
Right.
doesn't mean it's going to be the one that you're going to love.
You're going to walk out the
Amen.
door with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Right.
the main, and that's the experience that we sell. We sell an intimate experience. Again,
Right.
saying it is because we want you to come in and feel welcome.
Yeah.
And,
And
safe
feel like
in that
you're
space.
you are the only bride, but we want you to be comfortable and we want you to have no distractions.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge thing. We want you to focus on being there and being present with your
Yep.
friends and your family and having fun.
As business owners, we've always talked about this. Her and I talk about this all the time, as you can tell based on what we've done. But the idea of diversifying as a business owner, and we're doing that right now by the coffee shop thing.
Yes.
In addition
Which is
to
awesome.
other avenues that we're working on. But you guys took that another step and are diversifying within an industry that you know really well.
yeah,
Yes.
which is so smart.
Did that play into why you made the moves you did where you made them?
I feel like it's safe for us because I feel like we know so much. Now, granted, obviously we knew wedding dresses and like Rotary Wishes, audio guest book, but we didn't know the knowledge that we have now.
Yeah.
Like we learned so much.
Yeah.
To
but you
tap
know,
onto
but you
it.
know, like the base level of the wedding
You know
industry
weddings.
and like,
Yes.
You
So
have
this
connections
was-
in
Right.
weddings.
Exactly.
Yeah, this was an investment of saying, okay, we don't, again, to kind of go backtrack just a little bit and then I'll come back forward. But this was an investment to say, okay, we want this to work. So we have an investment not only for our daughter, but for ourselves to maybe grow into something different, but then kind of leave the photography and videography side of thing when we get older. We're
Yeah.
not quitting by anytime soon, but we do want to say, hey, we don't want to be the older people
Yeah.
in photography,
Yes.
you know, still trying to keep up with the young kids.
Right.
On the vulnerable side of things, we do have other things that we want to do, but we know right now we
It's
don't
just not our
want to
time.
do them because we know
We
where
want
we're
to focus
comfortable
on
at.
our brands that we have
Yeah.
now.
And so that's where we're comfortable at right now is we can't open businesses to be uncomfortable and like express and, you know,
Yeah.
expand our business, but we don't want to be so uncomfortable to where we go into a completely different market
Yeah.
and not know what we're doing. We
Yeah.
can take any business
Yeah.
model and kind of
we're
use
in there.
it.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
We be there.
Sort of, though, because like the coffee thing. Dylan, you got to stand
We'll
up.
pause.
He went-
Pause.
We'll pause.
All right. Well, Dylan just had a Charlie horse and had to walk it off for a minute. What I was getting
Sitting
at
too long.
was with the coffee thing, we are gonna technically be in the wedding industry
Yes.
with the cart, but that's not really the main part of the company. It's more retail.
Yeah.
But that does play into a level of comfort in that once the coffee cart's ready, we feel comfortable about when
For
we
sure.
get it booked.
Yeah.
And so I understand when you want to diversify and branch into things without hurting other avenues.
Yeah.
Doing it
Yeah.
in some sort of comfort. It's never fully comfortable, but
Right.
having some sense of comfort
Yeah.
So you don't
actually
completely
helps.
lose your
Almost
mind.
strategically going into
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, you guys are very busy people. Your parents, you have 3 businesses. You also just need to
That you run together.
Yeah, that you
Yes.
run together. You're also trying to, maintain your marriage and your relationship
Yes.
and your friendships. What does a day look like for you guys, or maybe a week?
Well, every day is so different, obviously.
Yeah.
But like for instance, today we decided to take off. The
was
bridal
forced to
shop's
take off.
closed.
No, I was forced to take off.
Yeah, I made you
100%.
take it.
Well, you are one of those people that has to be forced
Yeah,
to take
you
off.
have-
Yes, you're a workaholic, but
Yeah.
I am too.
I've
but I'm the
reflected
same
a lot
way.
on myself, and being a business partner with you, I've learned a lot about myself, and few things have changed.
Yeah. So a day to day is obviously we get up. Before we were going to the gym, but now I've realized that like I'm a better workouter during the day.
Yeah.
So we will get up, we'll get May ready, we'll take her to school, and then that's kind of when the day begins when we drop her off.
Yeah.
It's either we get in the office, we have a protein shake or we make eggs. We get into the office and then I start answering emails because I do all of the email correspondence.
And so you're answering emails for CMS, for
House of Couture.
House of Couture, and Rotary Wishes.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I will say, we do have an employee. My mom also does help at the bridal shop because weekends are the busiest and we're wedding photographers
Yeah.
first and
Technically,
foremost.
we have kind of 2 employees because we have one now for Rotary Wishes as well.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. We have one for Rotary Wishes. So they're the ones that drop off and pick up the phone because obviously
Yeah.
we can't do that.
But you do all the emailing for all
Yep.
3
Oh,
of
yeah.
the businesses.
And social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
So,
a very,
social media in and of
very
itself is a beast.
rarely.
It's a
and
huge beast.
I will say, like, I'm really bad at spelling, so like I don't do a whole lot of the emailing, and that's
Oh,
just
we
something
know,
that I
Dylan.
know. That's something that I was
wanted
told. at the very
spelling bee when I
beginning.
was little. So that's the thing that we kind of are opposite in like.
Yeah, so very
Yeah.
rarely. I mean, there is times where I have to spend time with May because I have done so many things today, and I want to spend time with my daughter. Where she'll yell across the house, "Answer that email real quick," and I actually doctor it and I'll reread it and run it through like 3
Yeah.
spelling check places for business to make sure I spelt everything right.
Yeah.
And then that's really the only time I answer emails, and like that's just a weakness that I know in business that I'm not really
Yeah.
good at. So she takes those.
That's good.
Every
Yeah.
day is filled with some type of meeting. Like tomorrow, we have the fire department coming out. We have a tax meeting with our accountant to go over House of Couture for quarter taxes.
Fun.
So yeah,
Yeah,
right.
he's going to attack everything that we're doing
Yes.
with that.
So every day is different. We have meetings, and then in between our meetings, I'm editing, or like if we don't have any meetings, I'm editing. But I've learned to really learn to say no this year.
Oh,
You have
Preach.
to say no.
Yeah.
Yes,
You have to,
because
especially if you have
Yeah.
that kind of
Yes.
workload, you have to be able to say no.
I used to take sessions all the time, whenever, wherever, because I was like, I'm catering to my clients. I love my clients. And then it came down to, what's the point of driving 20, 30 minutes one way and having one session and then having to drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes opposite way.
Yeah.
And then have to go home, import, as you know.
Make dinner for your family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that was where
so-
like business came in from me. I
Yeah.
started to tell her like this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like we're starting to do things when we didn't have May, the little time that we didn't have May when we were together,
could do
it worked
anything,
out great
but
because it was
still.
like, okay, we can drive 30 minutes down to, St. Louis and we can get dinner down there and almost use
right.
it as a date day.
Yeah.
So it worked out great. But now that we have May, it's like, okay, now we have to hire a babysitter.
Yes.
We have to make sure that babysitter is home on time. We also have to make sure May's in bed on time.
Yes.
Or if something goes wrong with May during the middle of the shoot, so
Who's
that
the
clicks me
emergency
out.
contact?
And because I do take, Courtney to shoots to make sure that she's safe. I let her do all of the shoots. I'm essentially just holding stuff for the bride and groom.
Yeah.
But I'm there
And
to kind
doing
of
like
lighten
behind the
groom
scenes
up.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do lighten the groom up a little bit to like make him more comfortable to do photos and stuff. But there's so many things that go into that, like what Courtney was saying, that she does have to kind of take forth in, and we have to manage our time really
Right.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it can backfire on us. And we've had help where we've had help from our family, and then we've also had to the point where like, okay, we've got to bring May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. I don't like bringing May to, work shoots because I don't feel like I'm being a true parent to her. She wants to
Yeah.
have fun and do those things, but I still also have to click out of being a father and a businessman.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure that your guys' schedules are crazy. I mean, we don't own 3 businesses or have children, but our schedules are crazy, and people are like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'm like, I mean, just for like, and I know that like you struggle with anxiety as well.
yes.
Like I have to live my life day to day,
Yes.
which is really interesting because if you look at my calendar, I have so many things scheduled. So I'm living my life very planned, very thought out. But when I'm going to take on the day, I'm taking on just that day.
Yeah.
And I look at what I have in the morning the next day, and I have that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But unless I need to focus on that,
Yes.
I will not.
Yeah.
Like,
So I have
I
to
know.
write stuff down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would
Like-
say for you and Courtney, the big thing with you guys that you guys really are the same is you guys have these schedules, and Alex and I don't do a lot of the scheduling. You guys do a lot of the scheduling for us.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not trying to speak for you, but I would
No,
say
you're
it's,
right.
it's probably
you're
true.
right.
You're right.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
problem with that is like we stick to that schedule, and your schedule might change literally within moments.
Yeah.
Oh,
Today.
yes. Today it did.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
I'll
Within
tell the story
moments.
real quick.
Yeah.
So we dropped the car off because it's getting paint done. And while we're there, I'm talking to the guy to go through the car, and she's on the phone with a client because we're supposed to have an engagement shoot today, but it's windy and gross today.
Yeah.
Well, it's beautiful outside, but it's
Currently,
super
but
windy.
you
could windy.
Yeah.
Get blown
it's
over.
way more
It's like
windy than
Wizard
we want to
vibes.
do
Yeah,
for a
the
shoot.
wind would ruin her hair.
So we had already canceled the shoot and rescheduled it. And Veronica walks up to me and goes, are you good with shooting today if we decide to do it? I'm like, honestly, no. Because we canceled yesterday. My brain immediately turned it off.
Yep.
I'm not even in a mindset to shoot
Yeah.
today.
You were focusing on the
Creative,
next
yeah.
things ahead.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I just talked to the planner, and it might happen today. Like,
And
just
so
so you
then
know.
like, that's just something we just
Yeah.
have to ebb and flow.
Right.
It is still not happening today. But
Yeah.
that's just one of those things I'm like, I already checked out and moved on to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where like now that you guys do have the cart and those things, and that's where the advice in those things that you would come across from people and owning multiple businesses is like once something happens in our schedule now, it's gone.
Yeah.
done.
And 9 to 5
Can't change
people
it.
do not understand that.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, okay, I might have a sick day.
Yeah.
You still go back to work and you go and do those
Sick
things. And you
days.
might
we
be
don't
What
get
are
stressed.
sick
those?
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have a sick day and you still have to go back to work to doing the same things. But when somebody alters our schedule a little bit or we alter our schedule, that is gone. It is in
Yeah.
the past. It is no longer
It's
I have
pretty-
enough, I have enough
pretty
energy
permanent.
to focus on something that isn't there anymore. So
Right.
I'm on to
We
the next
move
thing.
to the next thing.
Right.
And okay, so now we rebook it to maybe 3 weeks out. That's when we focus on that
Yep.
thing. And so I would say having the anxiety side of things on being husband and wife, that's a huge
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because where I choose not to manage our schedule because I would major panic. And so
Yeah.
like I'm the calm one. I'm like, okay, hey, we'll get through it. Let's do one step at a time.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to work on, our scheduling is because we do manage so many different businesses at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, it's tough. I could talk about
I mean,
scheduling
we-
all day.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
don't necessarily have multiple businesses, but we have a lot with the one business, and then we're building another business
Right.
in an industry that
You guys
we,
have a ton going on.
we still have a ton going on. And
Yeah.
it's just a matter
And
of
the
like,
podcast.
you have to schedule, you have to have people around you
Yes.
and build a team that
Yeah.
can help offset
Right.
some of that time that you don't
Yeah.
need to be putting energy
Yeah.
toward.
I mean, when we get together, we have
Yeah.
to
Plan it
super
out.
schedule it
Yeah.
out.
We
Like,
have to schedule out like 2 to 3 weeks in advance.
And
Yeah.
by no means do I want to say May as a crutch on what we do because we
No.
love our daughter
Yeah.
more than anything. We love our families, but there are many times where it's like, wow, we do a lot, and then there's some days where like yesterday we had yesterday off, but
Well, I
we
did
were
not.
still
I had
working.
5 mini sessions.
We were still working.
Yeah.
So like Courtney chose to say, okay, like we had that day completely off. Courtney months ago said, I want to do minis on this day.
Yep.
And so she did it. So I then, went ahead and took care of May. We drove around. I did all the things that I had to do for May. And then Courtney came back home. And it's
Yeah.
just like one of those things where like, again, we had that day off. We specifically took it off for
Yeah.
certain things that we were going to do. And Courtney saw an open opportunity and said, okay, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
And how many people in 9 to 5 are going to say, I'm going to go into work on Sunday?
I know.
Like,
Well,
I wanna
that's-
hear that
That
thing,
is
you
the
know?
beauty of what we do as far as photo goes. Like I remember a couple seasons ago, I was like, "Hey, I want new patio furniture, so I'm gonna do a mini,
Yes.
special
Mini marathon?
Yeah, mini marathon, and
Yeah.
I bought
Just-
patio,
literally
just
just
so
to
I could
buy
buy
patio
patio
furniture.
furniture.
I love it.
I mean,
Yes.
that is the beauty of what we do,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we have a lot of flexibility as far as that goes. But learning to say no has been one of the
It's so hard.
most impactful things for me, and I know for you as well.
And it's so hard to do
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh,
But
man.
It's getting easier.
Especially
It's so
having
much
the business
easier.
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know Alex can really contest to this. Is like, it is so hard to say no when in my head I've got like 15 things that I want to do.
Well, and
I'm
it's-
like, oh,
and it's not
I
even
can
just-
do this with that.
It's
Right.
not even just like, for me saying no is like, I see the availability on my schedule, but maybe I have 3 other sessions that week, and I'm like, okay, I have Tuesday open. I could do it that day.
But then you're adding more to your plate.
But I know in my head I'm going to hate myself.
I don't want to look at my calendar and see a dot every day.
Every single day. That gives me anxiety.
I want a no dot day.
Yeah,
absolutely. No dot days are the best.
I actually just said this when we got out of the car to drop May off. I said it was nice to have one Sunday off, but now I'm good. I'm ready to get back to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if I have too many days off, I actually start to say, okay, I need to do something.
Yeah.
And then again, that idle mind just starts to create senseless things.
Yeah.
But then those senseless things become big tasks.
Yeah.
And then it starts to trim into, oh, I have wedding videos due. Oh, okay, now I still have to do this because it's important.
And it starts to pile up.
Yeah.
So to have my plant day that I had yesterday was phenomenal.
Yeah, we had ours on Saturday.
Yes.
Was it Saturday? It was
Yeah.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Shout out to
Everett's
that
probably won't
you
hear
sent
this.
us to.
Yeah.
Biggest hanging basket I've ever hung in my life.
It was beautiful.
Dude,
And I
that
totally
sucker
knew.
took up the entire back of the Forerunner. Just the
Yeah.
one.
I didn't even know you
yeah.
got the pink one until, did you send it to me?
Yeah,
I
we
did,
showed
yeah.
you.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
just like
It's stunning.
it was so big that it looked like a bunch of different plants.
I know.
Yeah, so
Stunning.
if
It
you're
is so pretty.
local around Missouri, Everett's is the place to go.
And
for
right
flowers.
Actually, don't go there. They have nothing.
We don't want to get the word out because then they'll up their prices.
I'm in
True
is
that.
totally sidebar, but that's fine. We're wrapping up anyway. I'm in a plant group, like an STL Metro plant group on Facebook, and someone posted about Everett yesterday, and I was like, no! I'm like, oh my God, everybody's gonna know now.
hidden
Like
gem's
I found this like hidden gem. Honestly, they are amazing. Go
Nice
give them some
people.
support.
They
Yeah.
grow
They're
everything
amazing.
themselves, so they're cheap.
Yeah,
But
it's amazing. Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
guys for
us.
having
'Cause I know
us.
we've only been
Yes.
talking about this for like a year and a
At
half.
least a
Yeah,
year.
yeah. We love like hearing you guys talk
Goes
about
back
your
to that
businesses.
busy life.
Love you guys.
Busy life for both of us.
So one thing we always ask is, where can people find you?
Oh gosh.
This is probably a 10-minute
This is gonna
segment.
be like a long list.
So go ahead and just like give us just the quick rundown. We'll have all the links down below, but just give us the most popular spots for all of them.
So we're CMS Photography and Film LLC on Facebook, CMS Photography LLC on Instagram. We do have a TikTok, but unfortunately we're not super active in it. So you can just kind of,
we're working to that.
yes.
We're always working to that.
And then we have House of Couture. It's House of Couture Bridal on Instagram.
YouTube also for CMS. We're working on that one too.
And then we also have House of Couture on Facebook. And then it's Rotary Wishes on Facebook and Instagram. And then obviously our emails. I'm not going to even.
No,
Everything will be linked below.
Yes,
so
My personal
exactly.
stuff, I don't
There's so
really
many.
do a whole lot
Yeah.
with.
There's
So.
so many
but
emails.
the
Yeah.
websites, social media links, it'll all be in the description.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Well, you guys are like super inspiring, power couple for sure. Doing the
Love
damn
you guys.
thing, killing
Back at
it.
We're trying.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope y'all
Yes.
had fun. And if you guys like this, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah, I'm ready to win.